Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Franca and today we are going to be doing a step-by-step process on how I achieve this look. So if you're interested, stay tuned. So I start first by prepping my brows with my gel. So the reason I'm using this gel is because I was out of brow gel and wax. Yes, wax is also a good alternative, but in case you don't have at all, any normal gel can suffice. So you start by straightening your brows, and after straightening your brows with your spoolie and your gel, you lock it in with powder just to keep the strands up in place. This will help you when you are filling in your brows. But after applying your gel, you have to allow it dry down a little so it doesn't all get clumped up like the way it did there on my right eyebrow, or my left rather. So I had to clean a little bit of it and redo it again. So for drawing your brows, a simple tip that I'm going to leave with you is that you have to practice. You have to practice. At first it looks very hard. When I started learning makeup, when I started doing makeup, I did not get my brows until like very recently. Before I just do it and I move on with my life. But another tip you need to get a very perfect brow is your pencil. Yeah, your pencil needs to be very sharp. If you're not using a pencil or you're using something else, but for beginners, this pencil is something that you're going to learn with. So your pencil has to be very sharp. Then you go ahead and draw in and start filling. I'm going to do a separate video on how to master the art of drawing your brows, because your brows really carry your makeup. Because you don't be looking, you can have a good base, you can have a good blush placement, but if your brows are not on fleek, pardon my 2011 reference, but if your brows are not on fleek, your makeup is not going to look good. So as you can see, I'm just filling it in after drawing my brows. So I'm going to do that, and yeah. So for the next step, I go ahead to conceal my eyebrow. So for your concealer, you go in with a shade, or preferably 2 shades lighter than your foundation, and get a flat brush which will aid you in concealing. When concealing, you start from your brow bone. The reason for concealing is just to give your brow structure, clean it up a little bit and give it structure. So when you're done concealing your brows, as you can see, you just go ahead and blend that in very well, just for that place to look neat. And that is going to also serve as, the other concealer will also serve as a base for your eyeshadow. So I'm just going to go ahead and do the other part of the eyebrow. So when you are concealing the top of your eyebrow, you have to be very delicate. Your hand has to be, you have to be very soft and delicate handed, so you don't end up ruining your brows. And you can always use your, it's best to always use your, or it's best to use your foundation to conceal the top of your brows. And when you're done, just go ahead and blend that in. The key to a flawless makeup is blending. Don't get tired of blending. Blend it until you can see it no more, so your makeup won't end up looking unblended and patchy. And for this blending process, the best brush to use is this fluffy brush. So it helps and it aids you blending very well and blending seamlessly. So you just, when you're done with your flat brush, you finish concealing. So to just blend and make that place smooth, you just get a fluffy brush and blend. And when you're blending, you also have to be soft-handed. You're not really dragging. It doesn't really give a dragging motion. Although you're dragging, but you're not swiping the brush harshly into your skin. Sometimes you can go in swiping motions, or you can go in touching in motions. So for this next step, which is the eyeshadow look, you go ahead and apply concealer on your eyelids, as this will serve as a base for your eyeshadow look. When you apply that, you go ahead and just blend that in. So after applying the concealer, just like before, you go ahead with that fluffy brush just to blend that in and give it a seamless, clean look. So as a beginner, one thing I advise that you avoid doing is just immediately trying to go in with colored eyeshadow. As a beginner, I feel like I advise rather that you test your skills with more brownish skin color, cool toned eyeshadow colors since you're learning. So in case you make mistakes, it's not so obvious, because if you're already playing with colors as a beginner and you're making mistakes, sometimes you end up looking like a clown. So for beginners, when you're learning your eyeshadow look, start by trying to mix and match warm tones, cool tones, nude colors basically. So what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to define my brow. And one thing, the beauty of makeup is that it helps you discover your face. I'm just finding out now that I had red eyes. All the times I've been doing my makeup, I did not know that I had red eyes until I started consistently doing my makeup and make my content creation that I discovered that I have red eyes. So for those that have red eyes, you just have to define the upper part of your eyelid more, which is what I'm doing now with a brown powder, not even an eyeshadow. So another good thing about having a palette is that palette can serve as your powder and can still serve as your eyeshadow. But in this look, I went in with a brown shade from this Annie's Beauty's eyeshadow, because I was also going for a nude look. As you can see, this is a very simple, very good, and it's not basic, but it's very nice eyeshadow look. Very simple actually, that you can just go with. So the next step is getting into my skin work. So you cannot achieve a flawless foundation base or makeup base without skin prep. I'm going to talk about skin prep, proper skin prep, on another video. So I'm going in with my skin prep. I just went in with my toner now. This toner helps. It has glycolic acid, and glycolic acid just helps. But for me, my skin type, it helps my skin. It makes my skin smooth, and it makes my skin smooth and ready to receive my foundation. So I just give that 1 or 2 minutes to dry down before I layer in and go in and layer with my moisturizer. My moisturizer adds moisture back to my face that my toner has taken, so my makeup doesn't break. You need your face to be moisturized. If you have dry skin, you need your face to be moisturized. You can never apply foundation on a dry skin because it's going to end up very patchy. So hydration is very key in applying foundation for those that have dry skin like me. I don't even think I have dry skin. I have combination skin, but yeah, it's very key. Hydration is very key to your face for foundation. So when I was looking at myself in the mirror, I was thinking maybe the eyeshadow is too basic, so I tried to add a little shimmer because no boring basic eyeshadow. Although this is something that is very beginner friendly. It's something that is very beginner friendly. So I decided to add a little bit of shimmer on my eyelid. So now that my skin prep has dried down, I'm going in with my foundation. I'm using this Zaron foundation. I'm going in with my Zaron foundation in the shade Nuts. So I'm just going to blend that out. So the key tip about blending is your applicator first of all and your motion. So for a beginner, I'm going to advise you start with as a beginner, I'm going to advise that you start with a beauty blender, and that beauty blender has to be damp, not wet but damp. It's going to also aid in your foundation and giving you a very smooth base for your foundation. And as you can see, I'm dabbing it in, not dragging or swiping. It's a dabbing motion. And another thing, you also have to be light-handed, because if you dab in so much with so much force, you end up with a patchy makeup or a patchy foundation base. So as you can see, for me personally, I do not apply foundation under my eyes because I do not want it to crease first of all. And the reason why I don't apply on my forehead, as you can see, my forehead is a little bit more darker than the rest of my face. So I just go in there with my contour or my bronzer or my contour there that matches the skin there. So I don't go in with my foundation on my forehead. So for that part where I'm bronzing my cheek, as a beginner, you can actually skip that part and just go in with your blush, because me, it's not even every time I even do that part so much. So another thing to note is your blush placement. So where you apply your blush is not on your cheek, because if you apply your blush on your cheek, you need a lifting effect. You don't need your face to look like it's dropping. You need your face to look lifted. So you don't apply your blush on your cheek but on your brow bone, and it's not a must. At the end of the day, application is according to your face shape. This person may be applying on the brow bone or beneath the brow bone or under the eyes. You just know what works for your face. And the next step is to go in with your concealer. I underpaint, if I'm allowed to call it that. Some people go in with with blush after concealer, some people go in with concealer after blush. But me, I like to go in with concealer after blush because sometimes I overdo it. So this is me just blending out my concealer. Of course, this is to give my face structure. Everything about makeup is structure. You don't do things to your face that will make your face look awkward or be shaped awkward. Everything is about structure. So another key tip in this another key s- tip in this step is to blend. You have to blend, and when you're blending, you are dabbing, you are not swiping, you are not dragging, you are dabbing, not swiping rather. For this step as a beginner, I advise you just use your beauty blender. You can also you just turn your beauty blender to the part you haven't used, and you use your beauty blender. That beauty blender is a holy grail. In fact, when I was learning makeup, the only thing I would not use my beauty blender to do, and I didn't use my beauty blender to do, was to um, draw my eyebrow, right? So you just go in with your beauty blender. As a beginner, your beauty blender is your best friend. Maybe when you start getting the hang of it, our advice, you can then transition into brushes. So you always blend your concealer very well. Blend your concealer, and like I've said before, you are going to be light-handed and not heavy-handed. So this is me now blending my concealer, and when I'm done with all my liquid products, I lock that in with my spray. And of course, I give that time to dry down. It has to be dry. If you do not allow your liquid products to dry after you use your setting spray, your makeup is going to be patchy. Your face has to be completely dry of all setting spray rather, before you go ahead and set your face with your translucent powder. So as you can see here, I went in with my translucent powder. I was going in with it straight from the palette, but as of course all these mistakes are going to be corrected in my next video. I'm just a little bit jittery since it was my first YouTube video, but you have to dab the excesses off at the back of your hand, because when you're going to start blending this powder out, if it wasn't well dusted, it's going to be an issue for you, and it may look so powdery and maybe at the end of the day patchy, but God just helps me. So yeah. So I want to bring warmth to my face, so I just go in with a warm shade of powder on my powder palette just to add warmth to my face. So now I have started blending my powder, my setting powder out. So like I said before, since I went in really heavy handed with my powder, my setting powder, so this will be a little bit hard for me to blend out. But when you're going in to blend out your setting powder, make sure you are using a powder shade that is your that is close to your skin color, the normal powder that you rub. So that's what you're using now to remove and dust off the setting powder from your face.